Welcome to Binge on Self-Love podcast. I'm your host Anna, but you can call me Anchi. For the past few years, I've been struggling with binge eating disorder, severe procrastination issues, and a really poor self-image. Any kind of self-love has been pretty much non-existent. But I've realized I'm not alone in this, as millions of others struggle with accepting who they are, and we all fight our inner battles. I'm not an expert on this, nor I claim to be, but I have a story and I want to share it with you guys, raw and honest, with all its highs and lows. Every Tuesday, I share my experience, thoughts, and tips on overcoming binge eating disorder, procrastination, and tips on gaining self-love and respect. Join me and our listeners on our journey to build a healthier and kinder relationship with ourselves. Make sure to subscribe to Binge on Self-Love podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss any future episode. For more content on binge eating, procrastination, self-love, and self-acceptance, visit bingeonselflove.com and follow me on Instagram at bingeonselflove. Disclaimer: Binge on Self-Love podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It doesn't provide professional medical advice, and it is not a substitute for a diagnosis or treatment.
Enchanté.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Binge on Self-Love podcast. My name is Anna, but you can call me Anchi. You're listening to part 2 of the 2-part series about body shaming. If you haven't yet listened to part 1, feel free to pause this episode and check the link in the show notes for part 1 so you get a better context on what this 2-part series is actually about. In the first part of the series, I've talked about what body shaming is and why I see it as a serious problem that we should pay attention to. I've talked about the society-approved ideal body that we are constantly being compared to, and I've talked about body shaming and the online world. As you may remember if you listened to part 1, at the end of the last episode, I've also touched on body shaming by women. And that's exactly where I would like to follow up today. So without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Enchanté.
I need to make clear that nothing that I say in this episode is me trying to generalize the issue of body shaming. I believe body shaming is not a problem of just one gender or just of people with a certain body type. It is an issue that I take very, very seriously, and the last thing I want to do is to contribute to any stigmas. So please keep in mind that I'm going to speak from my experience, from what I've experienced as a young woman. The forms of body shaming I've either experienced or witnessed were very, very often coming from women towards other women. And again, I'm not trying to generalize, I'm just sharing what I've experienced. And I feel like we as women can sometimes be really, really cruel when it comes to shaming and body shaming other people and other women. But before I start to point the finger on everybody else, I admit that I've judged and body shamed other women as well. Never in person, never face to face, but I've definitely have judged other people in my mind, in my head, or when I was like gossiping with my best friend. And in all honesty, who never gossiped or talked about somebody else's appearance or somebody else's body, right? But that doesn't mean it's good or that we should do that. I also know why I've done it. I've done it because, and it's gonna sound really stupid, but because I felt threatened or because I felt really insecure about myself and uncomfortable in my body, uncomfortable in my skin. And I've always had an issue with feeling like I am good enough, whether it comes to my relationship with friends, my relationship with my family, but also my relationship with my partner, with my boyfriend. I find it really difficult to feel like I am good enough. So I try to search for quote unquote flaws in somebody else. And I didn't tell that person. I would never do that. But I was thinking that in my mind, and that gave me this kind of like It made me feel a little bit better about myself, but at the same time, it didn't, if that makes any sense. And I think that by pinpointing somebody else's flaws, you take the focus off of yourself and you take it to somebody else, but it's, again, it is just temporary and it's really shallow and stupid to do. And what really pisses me off is when people are questioning and degrading women's success by criticizing their appearance. And of course, this can be applied to all genders. I'm again speaking from myself, from my experience as a woman. The most recent example that comes to my mind is a really successful and talented economist in our country who's been shamed by the politics, by the public figures, and by the general public so much because of the way she looks. I would say she had an opinion that doesn't seem to be a popular opinion. And I am not saying that I agree with her 100% or that I agree with some of the things that she said, but I still think that if you have a problem with her opinion, you can of course say that I don't agree with that, I have a different opinion, that's fine. But I think her opinion and her knowledge and her success have nothing to do with her appearance. And just so many people started to attack her appearance. And I feel like when a man does that, when a politician or a man economist has an quote unquote unpopular opinion or something like that, and he is being critical towards something or someone, people are usually judging his statement or his past actions or whatever, but you don't hear many people be like, this man is ugly as fuck, or this man has the worst hair I've ever seen. You just don't. You hear that when it comes to women. And again, I feel like I'm feeding into such a stereotype here, which I don't want to do, but at the same time, why should appearance and body be considered when you're judging someone's opinions or someone's actions? Another thought that I would like to mention is that I feel like with the pressure of society to look a certain way, with social media and the internet and TV feeding us with different messages on how we should look or how we shouldn't look, every single day, we often start to doubt ourselves. And maybe you've noticed this yourself, that there is a certain area or a body part about yourself that you became really insecure of, and you compare yourself with other people, and you feel the pressure that the way you look is not the right way. It is not the way you should look, the socially approved way. And when it comes to me, I've definitely been obsessed by the thigh gap trend, and I also started to despise my wide hips. And when Kylie Jenner lips became a thing or a trend, for the first time in my life, I started to doubt my lips, which is part of my face that I've always felt really confident with and comfortable with. So what I'm trying to say here is that when we're constantly being fed with the picture perfect body and the ideal body all day, every day, wherever we go, instead of being our own cheerleader, we become our worst enemy. Just think about how many negative things you say to yourself every day when you're trying clothes, or when you see your reflection in the mirror, or when you put on swimsuit before the summer, or whatever. How many negativity do you see in yourself and in the way you look, and how many positive things do you see in yourself? I feel that somehow we came to a conclusion that if our body doesn't fit a certain standard, then this is a reason why we shouldn't like it, or we should become insecure about it. I've always had more negative relationship with myself and with my body as well. So I'm very good at seeing what's wrong with me rather than seeing what's good about me, or what I should like about me, or what I do like about me. I've treated my body poorly because it didn't look as perfect as bodies of some other people I looked up to. And what I've realized, and what I also try to remind myself, is that the beauty is in the uniqueness of each and every one of us. I know it sounds like such a cliche and so cheesy, but it is essentially true. And I do have wide hips and a big booty, and even if I would lose all the weight possible, that's just how my body is built, and that's the body shape that I have. But does that mean that I should feel ashamed of myself or that I should be shamed by somebody else just because I don't have that society or socially approved body type. No, of course not. And same applies to everybody else, including you. So don't become your own enemy, not in terms of your body, not in terms of your mindset, not in terms of anything. One of the reasons why I see body shaming as such an issue is because of its consequences. Judging someone based on their appearance is one thing, but the other thing is that you don't know how much damage you can cause by commenting on someone's appearance. It can lead to low self-worth and low self-esteem. It can lead to that person doubting themselves all the time. It can contribute to building a disordered body image, disordered eating. You know, as they say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. I think it applies twice as much when it comes to someone's appearance. You can see people being shamed and degraded because of their appearance all the time. Fitness trainers, personal trainers are being shamed for not looking fit enough to be a fitness trainers. Models are being criticized by not being skinny enough to be models. People with eating disorders are being labeled as not looking like they have an eating disorder. We shame people for having cellulite, stretch marks, wrinkles, scars, and I feel like it's because we have such a disordered image of a beauty as a society that we are searching for perfection, for something that doesn't even exist. And what is also sad is that there are so many companies and businesses and fitness influencers that literally parasites on our insecurities. Not everyone, of course, but many of them for sure. And the message they communicate can often be really harmful for people's self-esteem, for people's body image. Personally, I am not a fan of workout plans and products that promote a diet or that are based on something like get your body ready for summer, get a six-pack, lose weight fast, and all this kind of nonsense. I really do not like these brands, these products, these fitness influencers that base their businesses on this message. Because it again only helps to feed the idea that we should lose weight before we put on bikini or that we need to look a certain way to feel comfortable to wear a bikini in the summer. Or that after Christmas or after New Year, we should all get a gym pass and get fit. Or that we all should have toned abs or something like that. And I think it's not that much of a surprise that if this is what we are being told by so many brands and by so many influencers, that we eventually believe it. But I have to be fair and say that what I really love nowadays is that so many clothing brands, whether it's fitness apparel or underwear or swimsuit, now showcase their products on different models, different body types. And I'm just all for it. I cheer for that because I always thought like most of the customers who will eventually purchase those products don't look like supermodels. Everything looks good on a supermodel, but I would much rather see what the product will look like on different body types so I can have a better idea of what the product will probably look like on me. When it comes to my experience with body shaming, I've always been a very insecure person in all aspects, whether it was about my personality, my abilities, but also about my body and my appearance. I grew up in an environment where women, or a lot of women, were dieting, buying magazines with tips how to lose weight and how to get back in shape and stuff like that. I remember since I was a kid, my mom always had something different for lunch than the rest of us. And it was usually something like healthy or light or low calorie. And I think, honestly, it kind of shaped the idea in me that women simply don't or shouldn't eat certain types of food because they should watch out their weight and some other bullshit. And I don't blame my mom or anybody else for that. I just think that it kind of shaped my view on what I should or shouldn't eat. What I've experienced when it comes to body shaming were usually comments on my body, about my body being too skinny or my body being too fat, or gaining weight or losing too much weight or having a curvy body, which honestly was like the hardest comment for me, or like the most hurtful comment for me. The last thing I wanted to have were curves and to draw attention to me, but also that I don't look like I work out because I don't look like a bikini fitness model, which again, it sounds like the most stupid thing. But I was actually thinking about doing a separate episode on my experience with feeling ashamed in many aspects of my life, including feeling ashamed of my body and also about feeling ashamed as a woman. So please let me know either on Instagram or send me an email at anci@bingeonselflove.com and let me know if this is something you would be interested in. I would be happy to turn this into an episode. To conclude this 2-part series episode, is there something that we can do about body shaming? As you know, I am not an expert in this field, so I can only tell you what I think, how I see this from my perspective. I think the number one thing that we all should do, and that essentially only we can affect, is start within ourselves. Try to judge people less based on their body, on their appearance, and more on what they do and what are their actions and what is their behavior and who they truly are. If you ever participated in body shaming, either online or with your friends, try to think about what is the real reason why you are doing it, and try not to do it, of course. And also try to approach yourself, your body, as more than just a clothing size and body shape, or as an ideal body that you feel like you don't have. And what I think is really important is to educate both ourselves and other people on what shaming and body shaming can do to their self-esteem, to their mental health, and to their confidence. And also try not to buy into the idea that many brands and people try to feed us with. It's all about tactics and marketing. If we believe that we are not good enough just the way we are, or that we need to fit a certain society standard, then of course we will feel insecure and we will search for ways how to quote unquote fix what we feel is wrong with us, whether that's cellulite, clothing size, whatever it is. Last but not least, treat your body right. Health should be our priority, not having skinny body or visible muscles or having a certain body type. I am not a fan of extremes, but I also think that health looks different for everybody. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this 2-part series and that maybe it was somehow inspiring, or it at least made you think about whether you are guilty of body shaming, either yourself or somebody else, and maybe there is something you can do about it. I would really love to hear your opinion on this, and maybe you have some other tips on how to stop body shaming and how to educate people on what body shaming can do. So I would be really happy to hear that. You can reach me on Instagram at bingeonselflove, or you can shoot me an email at anci@bingeonselflove.com. I will be back next Tuesday with another episode. Thank you so much for listening and have a great week. Bye! Thank you so much for spending your time listening to Binge on Self-Love podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe to Binge on Self-Love podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss any future episode. You can find more content on binge eating, procrastination, and self-acceptance at bingeonselflove.com and on Instagram at bingeonselflove. Talk to you soon. Bye!